Doctor, if you would.
September 27th, 2520. The candidates experienced their first casualty today, but not among their ranks. It was one of their handlers. He used too much force and overcommitted, using his entire body to pin the candidate. Number 137 reversed the pin and then used the instructor's own brawn and mass against him, throwing him, severing the spinal cord at the 5th and 6th cervical vertebrae. Death was immediate. I saw 137 crying outside the barracks. I left her alone. Mendez and I concur. No disciplinary action. Memorial services will be held. All candidates will attend and then training will resume. I've instructed Deja to emphasize the history of military training, that to simulate combat conditions, lethal force is often employed, that accidents are an inherent risk, perhaps even inevitable. Mendez spoke with the child. She understands. She will recover. This bodes well. There will be many deaths before boot is over.
This entry takes place nearly 2 years after the previous entry. You'll note that Dr. Halsey's voice is starting to age a little bit. A very nice touch. The entry in question speaks to Carris-137, a Spartan candidate whom actually injured one of her trainers or handlers during training. It's worth noting at this stage that many of the Spartan candidates had a genetic predisposition that made them ideal for the Spartan program, and many of these came with additional traits, Spartan-like traits, that made them superior to the average human being or child of equal age. For example, when John 117 was first observed, he was a head taller than anyone else in his class and was significantly more powerful with better physical prowess. This already made him markedly superior to many of his classmates, but on top of this, John also had this rather esoteric trait of luck. Kelly 087 is another prime example, because when she was almost captured by the Oni operatives for induction into the Spartan program, she thought it to be an elaborate game for her upcoming birthday and ran away so fast that none of the Oni agents had even a chance of keeping up with her. Carris-137 was no different to the other Spartan candidates. She was superior in physical prowess, but also showed additional traits that made her particularly unique. In her candidate record under vaccines, many of the normal vaccinations have been ticked, as well as the other box, with an additional explanation being AU transmorpho, seemingly relating to some sort of vaccine with that name. A search of that particular term brings up a result for morphomolecular metabolic analysis and classification of human pituitary gland and adenomas. This is in particular relation to small tumours that can form on the pituitary gland of a human that can often secrete human growth hormone, and this obviously leads to excessive growth of the person in question. It may also suggest that at some point in her early life, Carrie actually experienced a form of brain cancer that was treated. As we've covered in other lore videos, cancer is almost unheard of in the 26th century simply because it is so easy to treat by this time. In addition to this, Carrie's candidate record also has additional notes saying Carrie's school principal removed her from physical education because of incidents where she inadvertently injured playmates during sports activities. Apparently a few children required hospitalization. Eyewitness reported that it was all quite innocent on Carrie's part. She appears oblivious to her unusual strength. This all seemingly suggests that Carrie was remarkably strong for a small child. At the date of this particular entry of Halseys Journal, Carrie would have only been 10 years old, and yet inadvertently used her own strength to kill one of her trainers. Even Spartans with remarkable strength that we know of, who survived past augmentations, didn't have particular physical exploits like this so early in their Spartan careers. We don't really hear stories of George, William, Sam or Kurt injuring their handlers to the point of death in their training, and yet we do hear of this from Carrie. who, while we're on the subject, is also a female Spartan. And as we've also covered in these episodes, women on average are biologically weaker than males. And while yes, we're talking about Spartan candidates here and sort of the creme de la creme of humanity, even at these extremes, the difference in strength is notable. So the fact that Carrie was able to kill one of her handlers at 10 years old, it can only be assumed, as there actually isn't any record of her, that if she did become a fully augmented Spartan, she is quite possibly one of the strongest Spartans alive. Again, unfortunately, past this particular reference of Carris-137, there is no lore on Carrie post-training. All that we know is that she was quote-unquote perfect for the Spartan program. She was remarkably strong, being almost ignorant of her own strength. She killed one of her handlers at the age of 10, and she felt remorse about it thereafter, as she was seen crying. But ultimately no disciplinary action was taken, and she would ultimately recover from this circumstance. Onwards from this, nothing is known. Before I round out this episode, I've noticed an increasing level of popularity for this series, owed likely in no small part by the fantastic voice work of Kat Peterson, my awesome resident voice actress, and woman of many voices here on Installation 00. You will be hearing more from Kat in due course, in both this series and a few other videos I've got planned in the near future, but specifically related to Halsey and the Halseys Journal, I had a thought a short while ago about recreating these entries from Halseys Journal as if it's actually happening in universe, as if there is a dialogue happening between the unnamed and unidentified individual at the start of Halo 4 and Dr. Halsey while she was in custody, or indeed a member of naval intelligence. If I were to narratively explore Halsey's Journal in this in-universe way of going about things, with Halsey being voiced by Kat Peterson and the Oni agent being voiced by yours truly, would that be something you would be interested in listening to narratively, as either a different take on this series, or in addition to it? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time.
Thanks for watching. If you're new here and liked what you saw, go ahead and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button while you're at it so you don't miss my future uploads. Links are in the description to get connected and jump into the Discord community with me, and if you really love the content I'm making, consider supporting the channel over on Patreon for tons of awesome perks. Pop your comments down below if you have an idea of what I should cover next, and hang around for the end of the video for other suggested videos you might be interested in. Huge shoutouts to my patrons: Spartan 10148, the metarch of my installation; Falcon, Prophet, Phantom, Thomas, Mikhail, and Irrefutable Justice, my monitors; Andrew, Cameron, Darian, Flaming Halo, Madness, Masked Owl, Michael, Spartan 0137, the Cave Potato, Uwu Master, and Wolf Eclipse, my sub-monitors; my growing fleet of Strato Sentinels; my ever-vigilant enforcers; and all the other awesome patrons that are helping to support the channel in a big way. Huge shout out to Todd Morrison for keeping the installation powered with that glorious vacuum energy. Much love to you all. Take it easy everyone, and find peace in the domain.